Do I have everybody's attention now?
What's going on, YWC? It's been a long time since I've had to do a video like this. It's been a long time since I had to put somebody in their place. I mean, let's look back in the history of this channel. I put Corbaz in his place way a long time ago. Kind of put Preston in his place. Him and I became friends afterwards. Put Eon in his place, and he hasn't been seen since. Put OTRS in their place, and any videos they had about me got taken down. Put Juggalos in their place, and they just did their thing. But if you told me I was going to do this video a year ago, 6 months ago, hell, a month ago, hell, 2 weeks ago, I would have laughed in your face. Marc Pearson. Now, Marc Pearson is the guy that got me to start doing wrestling videos. Anybody that has spent any legitimate time on this channel, heard any of my tribute vids, any of the videos where I basically talk about, you know, why I do what I do, somewhere in the conversation is Marc Pearson. Marc Pearson was, as I say, the first sort of YWC shooter that I stumbled upon on YouTube before I even had a channel. And I've always given him the credit for that. I've always, I think, been very respectful to him. And little story that most people don't know, when I first started my channel, I actually messaged Marc and said, hey, I've started doing these types of videos, and you can check it out if you want. If you want to give me your opinion, that's fine. He sent me a very brief message back, says, hey, you know, you kind of sound like you know what you're doing. Good job. And, you know, have a good one. And we didn't really have much interaction after that. But still, to this day, or to this day as of 2 weeks ago, I would have said to anybody that asked, you know, who should I watch, you know, to be a good vid maker? Who should I watch, you know, that's kind of a big name, kind of a big deal in the YWC, I would have told you Marc Pearson. I also would have told you people like Alex, Preston, etc., etc., etc. And I mean, in a roundabout way, Marc Pearson is the reason that I know a lot of people that I know here in the YWC. He mentioned NuttyRockChick in a video, subscribed to her. She mentioned, you know, John, Preston, Alex, Hannah Banana Bob, the British Fist, NJ and Parkin. So indirectly, he's responsible for most of the relationships I have in the YWC, which is ironic. But getting back to my point, he is the one that I have given, I think I've gone out of my way to give the most respect in the YWC, but apparently he doesn't respect me very much. And I didn't realize this, I didn't know it, it wasn't brought to my attention until recently. I had one of these conversations that I've spoken about before with a friend of mine on Facebook by the name of James. Fear the Spear, go check him out. He doesn't get nearly the traffic that he deserves, by the way. But he asked me, you know, who else do you watch? You know, who made you want to do the, you know, what, you know, if you want a good representation of the YWC, who should I check out? And I said, well, check out Marc. And he proceeded to message Marc on Facebook, something to the effect of, hey, you know, Spaz just redirected me to your videos, good job, da-da-da-da. Proceeds to rip James for being a Miz fan, rip me for being a Miz fan, rip me because apparently my videos suck, and rip James for being a fan of my videos. Now, something you guys don't know about me, and this is going to be a little bit more on the serious note, is that I've always had the mentality of, you know what, take a jab at me, or, you know, come at me, insult me, whatever, but, you know, you insult my friends, you insult my family, you insult the members of my family that are my friends, or the friends that might as well be family, and that's when I'm going to have an issue. And I definitely carried that idea through to YouTube. Now, you know, you want to rib the Miz, fine. You want to tell me my vids are shit, fine. But don't go and rib somebody else because they watch my videos. That just makes you sound like a sour motherfucker. And ultimately, I'm a fan of The Miz. James is a fan of The Miz. James also happens to be a fan of mine. This is all opinion. In Marc Pearson's opinion, The Miz isn't a good wrestler. But then again, in Marc Pearson's opinion, dubstep counts as real good music. Moving on. You know, I let it go, let it slide, it's Facebook, and ultimately everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Then I got into doing road signs this year, went back through some of my comments, and found a comment from Marc, which was really funny, considering he, I don't think, has ever commented on a video of mine before. Said my video was truly horrible, and he didn't believe that I believed the words that were coming out of my mouth. My vids are shit because I talk down to the entire YWC, and apparently I think I'm God. even then I was laughing a little bit. I'll be honest with you guys, this is something that's not going to happen now. I was going to do sort of a spoof, sort of a Shades of Wrestling Jesus type thing. And it was going to be, you know, the top 10 reasons why Spaz Phoenix isn't God, because apparently he thinks I have an ego. Go figure. But I'll go through some of them now. And this is what I can do. Look into myself, realize some of the reasons I absolutely suck. Guarantee you Mark won't do this. I'm not a very good speaker. And you know what? Add on to that, I have a lot of fun with the fact that I'm not a very good speaker. See my line at least once a video, hey, I can speak, I swear, you know, I ramble, I botch, I repeat myself, you know, whatever. My video editing skills aren't that great. I pop a camera in front of my face, you know. It's not exactly the technical wizardry of speaking into your phone, but I digress, you know. I have zero graphic design skill. Any legitimate designed graphics that you see on this channel were done by Dalyxman. Shout out to Dalyxman, check him out. His link will be in the description box below. The music that I use isn't very inventive. It's clips of songs that I like simply because they're songs that I like. I am biased. I have been involved in drama before. I have done some pretty horrible vids in my day, I will admit. I have gotten sucked into stupid stuff. I am a Mark, and I am a Mark with people that I like, including The Miz, including Jeff Hardy, you know, all these people that the YWC tells you you're not allowed to be a fan of. See, Marc Pearson is one of those guys that goes with the YWC crowd, you know, this and that, and I'm going to tell you which way to go and which way is up, which way is down, and who you can be a fan of, etc. I've always said, hey, my boy The Miz, one thing, and then he'll go talk about, oh, my boy The Rock. Well, my boy shows up week to week. Your boy shows up once a year. Moving the fuck on. But if you want to talk about ego, let's talk about some of the things that make Marc Pearson, and some of the things that have made Marc Pearson famous. He is famous, like Wrestling Jesus, except not nearly as good, for bashing the YWC. He claims to not be a member of the YWC. He is a member of the community that talks about wrestling on YouTube, but he's not a member of the YouTube wrestling community. Yeah, let that one roll around in your head for a second, you know. Nonsense is nonsense, moving on. He says that I talk down to everybody like I'm God. He puts himself up on such a pedestal that he is so condescending to everybody that everything is Wrestling 101. Let me tell you something about wrestling today, and taking a cheap shot at some of his subs, because a lot of his subs are probably from North America. Just about every vid he does, or every other vid he does, or every pay-per-view vid he does, he takes some sort of slam on the grammatical differences between the UK and North America. There's a lot of phrases from a lot of the UK guys that I watch on here that I think are quite funny or quite different or whatever. You know, saying something is bollocks or whatever, but you know, how many times, anybody that watches Marc Pearson's videos, how many times has he harped on the phrase, I couldn't care less? Yes, is he correct in saying that it's not grammatically correct? Yes, but you don't sit there and use it to continuously bash a continent to draw yourself extra, I don't know, YWC heat. What's that even worth? He bashes wrestling. He is one of the generic sheep that is following the trend of getting a lot of views and a lot of laughs and a lot of chuckles from a lot of people for just bashing the shit out of wrestling. Regardless, he went through his Raw review this week, talked about how it made sense that Ziggler finally got a win against somebody predominant when he has the Money in the Bank briefcase, and points out a bunch of good things like this, and then ends off the whole thing, oh, well, the whole show was bollocks, wasn't it? It was all garbage, And then he makes fun of the fans that say that it was a good show because John Cena wasn't on it. And I say, no, John Cena wasn't on it, and it happened to be a good show. Two separate things, but, you know, he's going to pretend to be, like I say again, once again, the professor, and he's going to try and teach us a little bit of Wrestling 101, you know? Fuck it. He got famous because of his Q&As. Why? Because people asked him a $2 question and he gave them a 10-cent answer? No, because almost every single person he asked a question in those Q&As back when he was doing them, rambling on for an hour and a half, he would some way or another take a dig at almost everybody that asked him a question. Yeah, that's a good way to, you know, not be somebody that talks down to all their subscribers, as he's accusing me of. He got famous for burials at one point. Hell, one of the first videos I saw from him was him burying Gilmore. He was burying Spinnernet, You know, talk about talking down to people and talk about thinking you're better than people. whatever, because you have a camera and you have a voice that spits out on YouTube, you know, whatever. In the entire time he was burying Spinnernet, he was telling, you know, sob stories about how he had a concussion and Spinnernet made fun of his concussion, or, you know, I've been down on my luck, so I had to sell some DVDs. Who the fuck cares if you had to sell some DVDs when you got fucking belts and bullshit and, you know, indie posters and all that garbage hanging behind you like you're something relevant? Yeah, I've already said it, but I will say it again. He became famous on the typical trend of just bashing everything to do with wrestling, except if it happens over there. If it's happening anywhere in his neck of the woods, he will suck British wrestling's cock for days. Oh yes, it's just like everybody else, not everybody else, but a trend that I've noticed with a lot of shooters that I say in the YWC, not nearly as bad as Mark, but the whole idea that, you know, once one of their boys is in the match, all of a sudden it's good. Throw in Magnus, all of a sudden the match is amazing. You know, you got the Robbie E storyline, but throw in Rob Terry and suddenly it's good. Throw in Wade Barrett, who admittedly is quite good, and all of a sudden it's a 5-star classic. Bring back William Regal, who was relevant 10 years ago, and all of a sudden it's a 5-star classic. I'm not denying the talent of any one of those guys, but it's just like, oh my fucking god, unless you were at a British wrestling show, and if you only watch WWE, if you only watch, you know, TNA or whatever, and you've never seen a Brit Rest show, then you just don't know what the fuck you're talking about, do ya? Fucking hell. Fucking hell. Me, I'm a Canadian. I'm a fan of a lot of Canadian people. In the midst of the, let's just say, Trish Stratus versus Lita, I always pulled for Lita. You know, friggin' Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, I pulled for Shawn Michaels, not because Bret Hart was not talented, and not because I didn't have that hometown boy pride, but I was a bigger fan of Shawn Michaels. Be a fan of whatever wrestler, and expand that idea. Be a fan of whatever fed you want. Don't just be a fan of them because they're in the backyard and you can walk down and have a pint 10 minutes down the road rather than actually buying a ticket. Oh, yes. Wrestling Review this week decided to take another jab at me, and he takes a jab at The Miz, and his way of taking a jab at me was taking a jab at The Miz and saying, well, I don't like The Miz, but the only person on the planet that is a fan of The Miz is Spaz Phoenix, and that guy's a fucking idiot that I can't stand. Well, here's an idea, first of all. You know, exaggerating just makes you look like an idiot. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that's got a Miz t-shirt hanging somewhere in their closet or sitting folded up somewhere in their drawer. And if you think I'm a fucking idiot and if you can't stand me, why are you watching my vids? Why are you watching my vids? And here's the thing even more. I will admit, when I talk here sarcastically about the YWC Elite, oh yes, that includes my buddy Mark. Mark, you are a bigger personality in the YWC than I am, and I will give you that. I will hand you that. But here's the question. You're way up here, and I'm, you know, supposedly way down here with my 425 subscribers that I appreciate, and I have gone out of my way to say that I appreciate on numerous occasions. But here's the question. If you're way up here and I'm way down here, why are you wasting your time with me? Are you that bored? I mean, you should have a full plate. I mean, you're one of the biggest names in the YWC. Supposedly, you're this big name commentator, you know, with, you know, friggin' drunk pub wrestling, doing commentary in front of like 20 fans. You know, you're a big deal. I mean, even if you get home from that, you can relive your glory days of, you know, looking like a bloated predator wrestling on a tarp in the middle of a field somewhere. You've got a lot of things you can do. Why would you waste your time with a small fry like me? Is your life really that boring? Are you really settling that low of the bucket that you gotta waste your time all of a sudden taking cheap shots at me because of who I'm a fan of? Really? Have the high and mighty fallen so low? I know that I'm not God. I know that I am pretty much, you know, here in the YWC, whereas most of the people I talk to are way up here. I know I have faults. I know that there are times when I flat out suck. But are you willing to look in the mirror, sir, and take the same analysis of yourself? I doubt it. For the rest of you that were expecting an episode of Road Signs, that'll probably be tomorrow night. I'm sorry for all of this. This is garbage that hopefully won't pop up again, but sometimes it is what it is. I've been your buddy, your pal, Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep these conversations going. Say hi to Mark for me. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out.